Hello and welcome to Eat Your Backyard, my YouTube channel where I talk about all kinds of things that I'm interested in terms of fruit and tropical stuff. So, yesterday I made a video about beginning to trim a long neglected area of my yard and got off on all kinds of different rants about this and that, but today is the day after and I wanted to show you my progress, share my progress. And if you compare this with the video, the part 1 video of this project, you can see there's a fairly big difference. Okay, so this area had kind of shrubs and plants that I had let grow in for a long time, and they were a little bit out of hand. I need to get some calcium lime removal stuff and clean that fence off. In terms of the plants, now I have a fairly nice meandering line of foliage that's kind of interesting looking. I tried to give it a little bit of a, not just an, I originally thought I would just go with a straight line, and then I realized, no, I'd rather give it more of a wave look. So I trimmed up in this case, the Dracaena and the Schefflera and so on to follow a consistent line, and then I also added in some cuttings of Dracaena here, some cuttings of Schefflera here to fill it in because I want this to continue. That'll take a little while before it fills in. I took the Mexican petunia down, I kind of stubbled it so it'll grow in a lot of sprouts and get very thick and highlight those purple flowers. So that'll be the shrub there. I cleaned up this croton a bit, which is always beautiful, and it kind of really is highlighted against that fence. It's doing well. And then I took most of, and I'm not completely done, most of the cement I had there and just temporarily built this little barrier just so grass can't grow in, but I'm going to continue to build a seawall here. I just need to get some more rocks to build a wall made of these beach rocks all the way along here and then into this far. So this is where the project stopped, obviously. You can see it's kind of what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like now. So just with about, well, I spent a fair amount of time back here yesterday, and like so many yard projects, one thing leads to another. You end up seeing things like, oh look, this, I need to pick this weed, you know. It just, one thing leads to another. But you can see the leaves I've used for mulch. Basically that's something I like to do, just it prevents the weeds from growing if nothing else. While I'm here, this agave, one I got from a cutting in California when I was there one time, and it was very small when I got it, and it grows up, but it has these hypodermic like needles on the end, and I think it's always important to go ahead and just snip those off. The worst thing is you get somebody in your yard and they come along and get tagged with one of those, which is a major bummer, and we don't want that to happen. So okay, the other thing was I had the St. Augustine grass had been growing into the bed, so I got all that dug out, lifted the rocks up and so on, and I planted this ground cover plant, which is very, very common, but really beautiful. It has a purple underside to the leaf and a green top side to the leaf, and they grow very easily from cuttings around here. So I filled that in this area, and it'll fill in completely. Right now it doesn't look too great, but you know, it's all surviving, and it'll eventually look just like that and be filled in throughout this whole bed. And if you look, I've got some areas that there's some more. You see kind of what it looks like. You know, it's really nothing special, but it's a nice look, and nothing's growing in there. I mean, no weeds, no St. Augustine grass, nothing. I do think it promotes mosquito growth, though, because I think a little bit of water gets captured in here, and mosquitoes tend to like to go in there, but it's nothing like having bromeliads, which are an unmitigated nightmare of mosquito growth all the time, in my opinion. Having grown several in my yard and experienced that, they're just filled, every cup is filled to the top with mosquito larvae, which is not good for me. Got enough mosquitoes as it is. You can get into cool things like this where you have this giant purple lily with a beautiful contrast on the leaves, and then below it you have something which is a different theme, same kind of structure at the base, and then off the back this green ginger to highlight it. So anyhow, so I took all that off. I had some of these giant lily sprouts growing, and I positioned them in a couple places back in the yard. The other thing was I had still things stacked up from, well, I just had a loquat tree die not too long ago. It was a casualty of Irma, and it took me a little while to get rid of that, but I had stacked up some of the debris here. I kind of got rid of that, most of it. I filled up 2 cans with yard waste, and then this is the remaining stuff that I'll have to deal with tomorrow. I put one of those giant lilies in a pot. That'll actually grow really nicely in a pot. If I can get that going well, I'll go ahead and probably put it on my deck once it gets going. You can see I've been doing some videos about the Mexican petunia. This is where I want the Mexican petunia to be, and that is where it's kind of at a consistent level and the flowers are highlighted. It's been growing back in there. I've cut it back so many times that I'm just decided to let it grow, and actually I think it looks pretty good. You see I planted some edible cactus back here too, thornless pad cactus as well. That's a no-brainer. I'll tree form that though as it gets older. I'll do a video about that, how to tree form it. The other thing was, so I just kind of generally swept up. This makes it so now this area is usable by my kids, especially my youngest son, who loves to play back here. Now he can get to everything, which is a nice new capability he hasn't had for the last few months, just because I've had debris and stuff piled back here. I also did some cleaning of the banana grove. I cleaned it out. I ran out of yard waste space, yard waste can space, so I got all of the dead leaves. I did a video about that. All the dead leaves, and cleaned out the undercarriage pretty well. I've still got one of the ones that tipped over. You see the roots coming out in the hurricane that I haven't cleaned up. But other than that, it's pretty much cleaned up. And here's some pups I planted last year. They're starting to take root and grow now, which is good. They'll be nice gigantic banana trees pretty soon. I did that with this about 2 years ago, this particular, and now it's really never the initial. I'm going to get around here so you can see it better. It's really never the initial banana pup that thrives. I've found that you plant, you know, they generally kind of limp along. Like this was the original one that I planted here, and it's kind of limped along. You can see it's doing okay. It'll produce fruit probably of moderate quality, but the sprouts that came off the base, the pups of this, are the ones that are super strong. So you can see this one is just real strong. So is this one growing out of the base. So this is always a little bit sketchy because I'm under 220 power here and I don't want it to touch that, but it'll never get as high as that line here. Down as the line slopes down towards the house, it's a little bit more dangerous, but actually I want to promote it right here, and I've got another pot of banana pups that I have been growing that I plan on putting right back here to really get this back area going. So you can see the piles of St. Augustine grass I'm pulling up. The St. Augustine grass is growing in pretty heavily back here, so I've got to just take care of business. I really just started doing that here, and then once I get that kind of generally cleared out, I'll go ahead and get some mulch, and some actual mulch, and put it down. This is interesting. The cardboard plant that I had trimmed back all the way to stubble is coming back kind of nicely, which is good. I'm going to reinvigorate it. And I realized I've got a very large, turns out to be a female, so stoked, papaya that I've let grow a little bit too long. It's underneath the Barbados cherry tree here, really not where I want it. So I'm going to dig that up and I'm going to relocate that. I'll probably relocate that one far away from power lines. Not exactly sure where yet. I also need to be cognizant of the fact that during the hurricane it's likely going to come straight down, so I don't want to plant it near anything that I can't afford to have a giant papaya tree collapse on. The other thing is, oh, look at this. Suriname cherry. This was a tiny little sprout that I kind of let grow. It's still doing well. I'm going to let that go because I want to have another cherry tree in my yard. This Barbados cherry, it got whipped badly by the hurricane. It's showing some initial signs. You can see this. Those are the flowers that'll form into fruit. It'll probably fruit pretty heavily this year if I let it, but it's just getting kind of unruly. And you see this lower growth, the new growth, it looks very healthy and good. And then this upper scraggly stuff is not good. So I need to just neaten this whole thing up. Neaten it up, make it so that it's producing cherries in a way that they can be picked and so on. And of course the mulberries everywhere, always going overboard planting in mulberries, but cuttings that I planted over the years are doing, you know, quite well. I've had to eliminate several mulberry trees back here because I just kind of went hog wild with that stuff. But anyway, now I've got a little area that, you know, gives me a little bit more peace of mind. Oh look, there's a ringneck dove. And looks better. In terms of next steps, next projects, this was a good successful project. Not totally done, but this tree here, this is a chocolate pudding tree. It's still showing the effects of the wind whippage of the hurricane. I'm going to go ahead and I've decided I'm going to go ahead and shape this so that I get rid of all this top growth, and then it'll bush out and look great. But that's a bigger project, because what I don't like to do anymore, is, if I can avoid it at all possible, is produce so much yard waste that I have to pile it up on my curb and wait for and then call the yard truck, claw truck, to come and get it, because it kills the grass, and then when they come in, the claw generally scoops up and destroys my curb pretty well. So if I can avoid that, I avoid it. So what I generally do is I'll chop it up, I'll take it down, try to put it into pieces that'll fit in my yard waste. I kind of stage it in this general area, which is what happened here for a while, and then put it out in the yard waste. So, but that's another project, and then this area will look really pretty good. Pretty good. And then I'm thinking about another mango tree. I think I'm going to do that. But that's probably about my next best project at this point. But just a beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Florida in May. I am wondering what's going to happen with this longan tree, a relative of the loquat, this year. I'm not seeing any indications of flowers yet, but the leaves just look very healthy. Now, I don't do a lot of really any pest control in my yard. I just don't get into that. I don't like to spray chemicals on stuff that I'm eating and my kids are eating, so I just kind of let it happen. And this one has survived over the years. When it's gotten fruit, it's gotten some bugs on it, but it's been very tolerable. Now, this is the first year that it's gotten a very dense foliage set on it, and I'm excited to see what it will produce in terms of fruit as a result. They produce flowers that look a lot like mango flowers eventually, and I don't see any on it yet, but I'm eagerly anticipating the arrival of those. So yeah, my project came together. Looks a lot better than it used to. Definitely on the way to looking great. And the cool thing about the yard right now is, in addition to the fruit, I've got a nice green grassy area that's fun to come out and throw the football and have fun. So hey, if you like videos like this, go ahead and subscribe to Eat Your Backyard. That way you'll be notified as new videos come out. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. The other thing is, leave some comments if you'd like, and I'd encourage you, like I said, to subscribe to Eat Your Backyard. Also, go ahead and check out my other two YouTube channels, which are Surf All Day A1A. That channel has music videos, surfing music videos that I make, close to 900 now on that site. And the other site that I have is called Florida Fishy Finger. And Florida Fishy Finger has all of our fishing adventures on there, and lots more to come. I'm going to really put some focus on that channel to grow that. So I've got lots of ideas there. So hey, thank you for watching. Eat your backyard.